Sometimes, the people we love the most become the reason our life breaks. And sometimes, the daughter born from that broken life becomes the reason the world changes. This is the story of Emma, a woman thrown out of her home because her daughter's eyes were not the right color, and how that same daughter grew up to fix the kind of minds that once destroyed her mother. Love stories often start with laughter, stolen glances, and promises whispered under the quiet shade of a university courtyard. And for Daniel Carter and Emma Kingsley, that is exactly how it began. They met in their second year at Hillford University, somewhere between the chaos of economics lectures and psychology research projects. Daniel was charming, the kind of boy who carried confidence in his smile. Emma was brilliant, thoughtful, kind, a quiet force of strength in a noisy world. Every student on campus knew they were meant for each other, but one person hated that. Daniel's mother, Margaret Carter, a woman whose world was built on control, reputation, and family image. Margaret had already chosen a bride for her son long before he ever thought about love. Her plan was simple. Her sister's daughter, Olivia, would marry Daniel. The property would stay in the family, and the Carter name would remain pure, as she often said. But Daniel had other plans. He chose love. He chose Emma. And in doing so, he unknowingly triggered a silent war. When Daniel married Emma after graduation, he thought he had won. He believed love conquered everything. He believed his mother would eventually accept the woman who made him happy. But some people don't soften with love. They harden. Margaret smiled during the wedding. She hugged Emma. She gave the world the impression of the perfect mother-in-law. But behind that smile was a storm waiting to destroy. Inside the Carter household, Emma quickly learned the truth. Margaret didn't want a daughter-in-law. She wanted a servant, a presence she could control, a young woman she could break slowly, day after day. Emma cooked. Emma cleaned. Emma tried to win her mother-in-law's heart with respect, patience, and love, but nothing worked. Whenever Daniel left for the office, Margaret's real face appeared, cold, sharp, cruel. She criticized Emma's clothes, her background, her cooking, her silence, her voice. Nothing was ever good enough. But when Daniel came home, Margaret acted like an angel. She praised Emma. She acted sweet. She smiled widely, and she lied with the talent of an actress. Daniel believed his mother. After all, she was his mother. And Emma? She stayed silent. She believed patience would one day fix everything. She had no idea the worst was yet to come. 2 years passed. Emma became pregnant. Daniel was overjoyed. He held Emma close, promising her a new beginning, a home filled with laughter instead of criticism. But Margaret's reaction was different. She didn't smile. She didn't congratulate. Instead, she saw danger. "A baby means she will stay forever," Margaret whispered to her sister. "This girl will ruin everything." She pretended happiness in front of Daniel, but began plotting behind the scenes. Months passed, and finally, the baby arrived. A beautiful little girl with soft skin and bright, striking hazel eyes. Eyes that didn't match Daniel. Eyes that didn't match Emma. Eyes that Margaret believed she could use as a weapon. She walked into the hospital room, looked at the newborn, and immediately said, "These eyes, they don't belong in this family." Emma froze. Daniel looked confused. But Margaret had found her poison, and she was ready to use it. Back at home, things changed overnight. Margaret began whispering to relatives, then to neighbors, then slowly to Daniel. "She's hiding something. This baby doesn't look like you. You deserve the truth. What if she cheated, Daniel? Open your eyes. Don't be blind. Daniel tried to ignore the comments at first, but poison works slowly. And Margaret knew that. One evening, when the baby was 3 months old, Margaret launched the attack she had been planning. She stormed into the living room, holding a family photo album, pointing aggressively at Daniel's baby pictures. Look at your eyes when you were a child. Brown. Look at Emma's eyes. Brown. How can this child have light eyes? Answer me, Emma. Her voice echoed through the house. Emma stood frozen, holding her baby close. Her hands shook. She tried to speak, but her throat felt locked. Daniel looked at her, confused, scared, suspicious. Emma, tell me she's lying, Daniel whispered. Emma cried, Daniel, why would I ever betray you? Why would I? Because women like you come for money and security, Margaret shouted. I told you from the beginning, she was never right for you. The room was spinning. The walls felt like they were collapsing. In that moment, Margaret delivered the final blow. She has ruined our bloodline. She has brought shame into this family. And then, in front of her son, in front of her daughter-in-law, Margaret made a decision that would change everything. Get out, she said coldly. Both of you and the child who is not my granddaughter. Emma fell to her knees, crying, begging, holding her baby tightly, her voice shaking. But Margaret felt nothing. No mercy, no humanity, just power. Daniel stood behind his mother, silent, tears in his eyes, confusion in his heart, weakness in his spine. He loved Emma, but he could not disobey his mother. Emma, maybe it's better if you go for some time, he whispered. Those words were knives. She looked at him, the man she loved, the man she trusted, the man she built a life with, and she realized something devastating. He was never going to choose her. Holding her baby close, she walked out of the house, heartbroken, feet trembling, but with a strength she didn't know she had. Emma had nowhere to go. No money, no family nearby, no one willing to take her in. For a few days, she stayed on the roadside under a bridge, protecting her baby from cold winds and passing strangers. People walked by. Some stared, some ignored, some whispered, but no one helped. She would hold her baby and whisper, I will protect you. I will raise you. I will never let anyone hurt you. After days of hunger and exhaustion, an elderly lady named Mrs. Abigail Turner found her. She ran a small community shelter for women. She saw Emma, took her inside, gave her warm food, blankets, and a place to sleep. For the first time in weeks, Emma felt human again. She told Abigail everything: the lies, the accusations, the humiliation, the abandonment. Abigail listened, held her hand, and said, My dear, your daughter is not a mistake. She is your future. Do not let your past destroy her. Those words changed everything. Emma decided she would never depend on anyone again. She began working in homes, cleaning, cooking, ironing clothes, washing dishes, taking care of elderly people. She worked day and night, sometimes skipping meals so her daughter Lily could eat. Every night after long hours of work, Emma would sit with Lily and teach her letters, shapes, colors, stories, values, strength. Lily grew up watching her mother struggle, but she never saw her mother break. Emma raised her with dignity, telling her, People will judge you. People will doubt you, but you must never doubt yourself. And Lily listened. Lily became an exceptional student. Top grades, top awards, top achievements. Teachers loved her. Students admired her. Everyone saw her potential. She won a scholarship to study psychology, inspired by all the broken minds she saw around her while growing up. People damaged by society, mothers destroyed by in-laws, women suffering silently, children confused by trauma, men failing under pressure. Lily wanted to understand human pain. She wanted to heal it, and she did. She became one of the youngest licensed psychologists in her state. Her work was praised. Her research was published. Her therapy sessions filled months in advance. But she wanted more. She wanted to fix the mindset that once destroyed her men. She started an NGO called Rise Beyond Stigma, an organization that educated families about toxic traditions, mental abuse, trauma cycles, emotional manipulation, psychological violence against daughters-in-law, generational misunderstandings, the importance of women's rights, the value of mental health. Within a year, her NGO became nationally recognized. Thousands of women found shelter, support, and hope because of Lily. Emma watched her daughter grow, not just into a professional, but into a warrior, a healer, a protector, a voice. The very thing Margaret tried to shame became the light of the world. Years later, Margaret grew old, and with old age came loneliness. Olivia, the girl she wanted as her daughter-in-law, married someone else and moved away. Relatives visited less. Daniel worked far from home, and Margaret was left with nothing but guilt and regret. One day, she fainted at home and was taken to a public hospital, understaffed, overcrowded, and loud. Margaret felt forgotten, invisible, disposable, and the universe brought irony. The psychologist assigned to evaluate her mental health condition was Dr. Lily Kingsley, her granddaughter, the same little girl she once called a mistake. Margaret looked up at Lily, shocked, trembling. It's you," she whispered. Lily calmly opened her file. "Yes, I am Dr. Lily. I'll be assessing you today." Margaret began crying. "I did awful things. I destroyed your mother. I destroyed everything." Lily looked at her, not with hate, not with anger, but with power. "Mrs. Carter, trauma makes people cruel, but healing makes people human again. My job is not to punish you. My job is to help you." Margaret sobbed uncontrollably. At that moment, Emma entered the room. The hospital had called her because Lily listed her as an emergency caregiver. Margaret stared at Emma, the daughter-in-law she once threw onto the streets. Emma looked at her calmly, not with revenge, not with pride, not with satisfaction, but with peace. "Forgiveness," Emma said softly, "is not for the person who hurt us. It's for the person we become after healing." Margaret broke down completely. She apologized again and again. Emma held her hand. Lily placed a blanket over her. The family that Margaret destroyed was now saving her. Margaret spent the last years of her life under Lily and Emma's care. Daniel returned with deep regret, but Emma never went back to him. She had built her own identity, her own strength, her own world. Lily expanded her NGO to multiple states. Women across the country found safety because of her. One night, at an international conference, Lily gave a speech about her journey. She ended with these words: "My mother was thrown out because of the color of my eyes, and today I use these same eyes to see the pain of others, to heal them, and to build a world where no woman is ever shamed the way she was." The hall erupted in applause. Emma watched her daughter from the audience, tears in her eyes, pride in her heart. The story that began with betrayal ended with transformation. The woman who was thrown out raised a woman who now helps thousands. And that is how destiny rewrites itself.